Hey, welcome back to another installment of a book. Personally, I think it's because of the concept we can learn from it. So here we are again with Humankind in part two of five. So take it over, Chris.
Yeah. So just a quick reminder about what this book's about. It's a book with the paradigm that humans are at their core kind and loving and good people
And
versus
decent.
the typical paradigm that we hear that's, survival of the fittest. Like, if you strip down everything from what we are, we're basically going to kill each other kind of thing. And, just really primal and negative, and bad is what, the prevailing thought is out there in the world today that humans are at the center of humanity. This guy's thought about what's at the center of humanity is more caring, loving, kindness. So it's really interesting take on life, and it definitely is more in line with the journey that I think that True and I are on, and it's probably one of the reasons why I think we both really are enjoying this. I know you just said you started it, so I'm glad you're reading it and already enjoying it. But for this particular reflection of 2 of 5, we are going to be talking about Homo Puppy. It turns out that nice guys really do finish first. Homo Puppy, like, hilarious. I mean, the name, I can't ever get it out of my head. Every time I hear Homo Puppy, I know exactly what it means and I know exactly what he was referencing, and it's really just stuck in my head forever. So what does he mean by Homo Puppy? He calls us Homo Puppies because we've been growing friendlier and more domesticated over time. Like, literally, the way that we look, the way that we talk, the way that we sound, the way that our bodies look, like, have slowly morphed over time to be more appealing and more, domesticated to everybody, because we respond to people that are kind, caring, smiling, all that good stuff, right? Like, that is like, and if you just walked up to anybody, like, I don't care if you think that at the core of humanity we're bad or good. If you walk up to somebody that's smiling and happy and loving and and looks like they're enjoying life, you're probably more likely to feel more at ease, at peace, and want to engage with that person, versus when you walked up to somebody that looks like they're about ready to go, into a war or something like that. And, they got their scowl on and they got their persona of, like, I'm dangerous, we tend to shy away, right? So he calls it Homo Puppy because puppies are the same way, right? Like, so you never see a freaking like, every time you see a dog, like, they're just the cutest little things ever, right? I mean, I don't know about you. Are you a dog person? I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but
Yeah,
are you a
I'm a
dog person?
dog person, right? So we just adopted a new dog. We adopted a husky puppy. And the thing is, we just went to see the dog because I told my family, my wife and my kids, this dog is big. It's
Right.
not the Chihuahua, the Maltese
Yeah, they're
Chihuahua
big.
mix that you
Yeah.
have. It's not a pet you pick up. This is a
Right.
big dog. They say, well, let's go see it. And say, okay, but the thing is, it's gonna get
Yeah.
big,
As soon as you see it,
and
just take it
and
home.
you cannot walk them because if you don't train them correctly, they will pull you, and you cannot
Oh
go
yeah.
to hold it. Well, the thing is, we went and they saw the puppy and they picked up the dog. And basically, what I say was that
Just fell in love
all
with it.
all puppies are cute. That's the way it is. All puppies are cute, right?
Exactly.
Because for when you look at a puppy, right, it's not terrifying at all. It's one of those things when you have a dog that's growling at you. You can get a Maltese or you can get like a Rottweiler puppy, right? Even
Right.
a Rottweiler puppy, right?
It's cute.
It's still cute. It's only when it gets to the point where it's so big
Right.
and gnarly, that's when it become scary.
Nurtured to that as well. A lot of people buy Rottweilers because they assume that the breed is a more dangerous breed, but then they treat it that way. And then lo and behold, you get what you treat it. Somebody, like, a lot of often, especially with dogs. But yeah, no, you're totally right. I was joking in this along the line of the thinking of what this guy's talking about. I don't care who you are. There's nobody that can walk up to a puppy and just be like, and not smile and not start to make stupid noises at it or whatever. Actually, your story about how your kids just picked up this dog reminds me of how we picked up our dog. When I was 22, my wife and I, my now wife, we just started dating then. So we'd been dating for about a year, and for whatever reason, we decided it was a great time to get a puppy together. I distinctly remember we toured around all these different places, and I wanted to get every puppy that we came across. We bought a book of puppies, trying to read it together to figure out how we were going to marry up our personalities with whatever dog breed that we got. So we ended up stumbling upon this breed called a Shetland sheepdog, and the dog books made Shetland sound really interesting. We found a breeder up in northern Indiana. We went up to go see it, and they had a new litter of Shetland sheepdog puppies that they had just had. So I think there was, like, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 of them. They were all like 6 weeks old at that point in time. They were freaking adorable, all of them. The house is loud, barking everywhere because Shelties bark everywhere. There was all the other puppies were, like, just mixing it up, going to town, fighting with each other, trying to get some food from mom, getting attention, whatever. Then there's this one little puppy that was over in the corner that was, like, just all by itself, like, doing its thing, and just like kind of disconnected from the group. And for whatever reason, my wife was like, I want that one. I was like, why? Like, she's like, I don't know. This is something about it. The dog. We're like, so we agreed to buy the dog, and but it was just funny because that one, I don't know. I probably just felt sorry for it a little bit, but it actually turned out as soon as we got her home, she was crazy and just went nuts and had a blast. And she was certainly not the little meek one in the corner.
Right.
She showed her true colors as soon as she got home, and she's been a blast ever since. And that was almost 15 years ago now. She's 15 years old now. So
Wow.
I swear to you, and I wrote it in this reflection, like if you lined up 9 of the cutest babies in the world, if you just said definitively everybody agrees that this is one of the cutest babies ever, and you lined them up right in front of me, and then you put the 10th one as a puppy, any puppy of any breed, that's where I'm going first. I don't really care. Like, maybe I sound bad or sound weird or whatever. I don't know what it is, but I cannot pass a dog on the street without saying something to it. As a matter of fact, I got in trouble. I learned this lesson in Germany. My sister lived in Germany. We were over there visiting her a couple of years ago. And fun fact, Germans do not like you to touch their dogs. It's like a taboo in German culture to touch somebody else's dog, right? So in American culture, obviously, you see a dog walking down the street, you don't even think twice. You just you walk over and start petting them, Well, I did that in Germany while we were on a walk one day, and I walked up to this dog. It looked cute, and I started petting it. And this lady gave me like this death stare. What the fuck are you doing? I went and talked to my sister, and she goes, "Oh, that's because you're not supposed to touch German people's dogs." I was like, "What?" And she gave me the whole backstory. And yeah, apparently that's a bad thing. So anyway, long story short,
good to know. I didn't know that either.
So next time you're in Germany, don't just randomly go pet people's dogs.
You can pet people's kids, but not the dogs, right?
Yeah, don't touch our dogs. But back to the reflection. So all this is actually kind of leading up to the fact that the theory is that the dogs have become so cute and so lovable, and their personalities have evolved over time to really be man's best friend, right? I mean, there's just something irresistible about a dog that every time we see them, we can't say no to them. And they've evolutionarily attached themselves to humanity to their advantage. I look at my dog, I make jokes all the time at my own dog's expense of like, man, what a friggin' life, right? They don't do shit. They don't hunt. They don't cook. They don't clean. As a matter of fact, not only that, we pick up their shit. Like we do all these things for them, and we give them nice comfy beds to lay in, and all they do is smile and wag their tail, and always are loving and caring whenever we walk in the door, right? Like, I mean, like, talk about who's smarter here, like us or the dog? I mean, the dog is clearly smarter.
Who trains who? That's
Exactly.
the question, right? Because I think the dog is training us. Because the thing for me, like, I don't disagree with what you said about having 9 babies lined up, and the 10th one is a puppy, right? You would pick a puppy because when you think about a puppy, what do you think about? You think
love,
a dog that is loyal to you.
Yeah.
It's always happy when they see you. That is what we think of. That's our trigger in our mind when we see a puppy. When we look at a baby, there are tons of images that could come depending on your, I guess, exposure to people, like in general. Like, hey, I've seen kind people, I've seen bad people, right? The image just comes up. And so when you look at a baby, there is a certain trigger that say that baby is cute now, but when it go up, it's going to be ferocious, right? It could be a person that could beat up somebody, or an alcoholic, or whatever. So the thing is, for puppy, it's so like clear to you in your mind that this puppy, regardless of what breed it is, even for a Rottweiler, right? It's still going to be an owner's best friend. Yeah. It's not a stranger, but not. But we all felt the at ease with a dog that's yours.
Of course,
right?
And I feel at ease with a dog that's not mine. I mean, like, I don't know if there's any dog, unless you've specifically bred and trained a dog to be vicious, like, I would feel at ease with any dog.
Right. But the thing is, the majority of people, the whole populations, everybody, when they look at a dog, the only image they see is a happy image of a dog and them. If you look at a baby, some of them are cute, some of them may not. The thing is, the image that tells you that this is not going to be clear cut. Therefore, you have reservations and, hey, that baby's cute. It depends on who you are. If you are probably exposed to kind people, then yes, a lot of the baby's gonna be cute. But if you are exposed to people that abuses you or whatever, you look at a baby, you're gonna have that trigger in your mind. So for me,
Good point.
puppy has a very clear image. Absolutely, no doubt. There is so much accuracy in terms of the image you have for any dogs.
Right.
No single dog that you have ever took home as a baby and don't abuse it becomes this vicious monster.
Right.
I have never seen one. And
Never.
that's
Well,
why everybody look at the image. Hey, this puppy is going to bring me joy.
yeah. I mean, which is exactly his theory. So he calls us actually Homo Puppy because he says, contrary to popular belief, we've evolved to be nicer and kinder and more appealing to other humans because like exactly like what you're saying, like you would do anything for a dying dog. I mean, like we talked about this before. Hell, like Sarah McLachlan videos, when they in the arms of the angel, when they have the little
Yeah.
puppy commercials. Like, I don't know about you, but I turn the channel immediately as soon as I see that because I'm like, I can't take it.
Yes,
I
yes.
cannot.
It gets to you. That
It's
song,
awful. I
that
can't.
song with the dogs in there gets to you.
Marley and Me ruined me for all movies. I don't know if you've ever seen Marley and Me or read the book Marley and Me, but like I
Should
cannot.
I?
No, if you want to just feel all the feels and just cry forever, fine. Before my daughter, I hardly ever cried. Like, I mean, maybe I could count on one hand the amount of times that I ever can remember actually emotionally crying. Marley and Me is one of those. Another one was All Dogs Go to Heaven that I saw when I was like 5. And I was like, oh my God, like this is that. I'm still traumatized by seeing that movie in the theaters. I cannot think about how like a dog feeling, like somebody abusing an animal, like, I mean, a dog in particular. I mean, any animal, or I don't
Well, the
want to
thing
see it,
is, it's
but a dog,
heartbroken. It's heartbroken when somebody abuses an
yeah,
innocent being,
loving and
because
kind, and
the dog is innocent. If you abuse a innocent being, it is very heartbroken, regardless whether it's a dog, a cat, or whatever. But normally, when we think of a dog, it's always innocent. Even for a vicious dog,
somebody did that to them.
it's not
Yeah.
its fault that
Right,
it become vicious. Somebody train it and somebody condition it
right,
to make it vicious. And so even in that case, it has its reasons. And
exactly.
for a dog, like I say, if you took a dog as a puppy, regardless of the kind of breed of the dog, it always gonna bring you joy as an owner. It could be different for because people going to abuse them, right? Even the dog who are vicious and the owner that abuse them, the dogs actually don't fight back. They just take the abuse.
Yeah,
Right. So they'll go and they'll bite strangers, but for the owner, they don't bite the stranger because they were raised as a puppy. They
right.
basically they understand, don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Dog, I guess bottom line with this whole entire reflection is he calls this Homo Puppies because he was
Uh-huh.
like, basically, we're doing the same thing that dogs have done. The mirroring gene that we've talked about before. I think we've talked about that before. It's so strong. Like I look at like Luca. Whenever I smile at him, he smiles back at me. Like, and it's like if I walked up and scowled at him, he'd be afraid. I mean, he would just naturally be afraid of me. But like I'm a smiley person. That's why the reflection title is nice guys finish first. But like on the whole,
Right.
like
So for me, come back to the same puppy concept. I can guarantee you, give me any baby from any gangster, any bad people.
right,
I
right. I'm
can
sure they're
raise
good.
that puppy in a place where he's gonna be a nice person.
I
That's
agree.
why you don't judge the kid by its parents' deeds,
Agreed.
because anyone who is evil because somebody abused him or her when
Right.
he was young and when he was a baby. Same thing with a puppy. You abuse the puppy, become vicious. You abuse the kid, they become vicious. Like all kids are innocent until they learn the hard way. You slap him whenever he did something, so he's going to learn that. He's going to get conditions. I don't care what kind of gene someone have, unless the gene is like, we're talking about like people have the ability to feel other people's emotions. Some people don't because of whatever gene that they did not get replicated, so they don't have emotion. They couldn't feel emotion. So to me, it's about missing the physical ability to feel and to understand other person's feeling. That is a physical obstacle. But if a person has all of their faculties, you give me anyone that is from a bad family or was a bad person or was a prisoner or whatever, that kid is completely different if you treat him different.
Right. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, actually, there was a really interesting experiment. I know you're reading the book, so I don't know if I want to ruin this or not, but
I mean, I don't care about surprises. I read books to learn. I read books
right.
to learn, to read. I want to have the surprise. And it's so to me, a lot of people are like they don't want spoilers or whatever. For me, information is better than no information.
Fair enough. So there was a Siberian fox that was like particularly vicious that he talks about in the
Mhm.
story. And what they ended up doing was they did some experiment to say, like, look, what if we just, I forget how they tested like their instantaneous, like, viciousness or not. But if they paused at all, they bred that fox. And then they kept doing this experiment. If the
Mhm.
fox would pause at all, like they bred that fox. Slowly but surely, I think it was like, I'm probably butchering this whole experiment, but they kept breeding these foxes that were the nicest
Right,
of the
you
shittiest
you keep the
foxes.
you keep the
Right,
gene that has that kind of behavior.
right.
And the thing is that totally agree with you when you say nice guy do finish first is because nice
In total.
guy are us
Right.
who are the one that is carrying on the genes, right? Because
Exactly.
if the bad guys, where are they now? Most of the people that I see are nice, with the exception of having a misinformation, a misunderstanding something else,
Right.
right? And but most people, we have the ability to put ourselves in other people's shoes. We can feel other person's emotions. Like I
Right.
told you, I can tell you lie, and you can tell if I lie, right?
Right.
There's certain things that we can feel, even though there is not really much evidence other than, hey, I just think he lied. I just feel it, right?
Right.
So that's the thing is we have that ability. So that means that when we are in trouble, right? We are basically. So I haven't read the book in the totality, so I'm just starting.
I don't think he talks about the selfish gene at all in this
Okay.
book.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, the selfish gene and what humankind is about is actually pretty compatible because
Yeah.
it's also about it's also
Giving. It's about caring.
it's
It's about
also about the
cooperating.
selfish gene. It's about because the thing is when you see other person, you can relate to that person from his perspective. And that's
Exactly.
the ability that we human, I think, the only human can they have that. And because of that, we are basically one. We
Yes.
are one because if you, let's say you smile at me, you're happy, right?
Mhm.
I get some of that. I get happy because you're happy. You smile, I smile. If you growl, I say, okay, right? So you're talking about Luca, right? If you smile at him, he smile back. Okay, he can put himself inside you, and you can inside him. Like basically, you can trade places.
And it
So
feels safe.
you are one unit. So
Right.
you are it. You are him, and he is you. So
Right.
that's the thing is we can transpose ourselves into the other person's shoes. And that's the reason why if a person is hurt, you feel it. That's why you want to help that person.
Right. I mean, it's, oh my God, you actually just tied a connection in my head to a book that I read way down the road that I was just writing about recently. It was this book, you have to read it, it's so good. It's My Stroke of Insight, the one about the lady that has a stroke.
Right.
One of the things that she talked about when she first had her stroke, she had a stroke on the left side of her brain, which is like
Mm.
your logic, math, science, order, numbers, language, like all that's controlled on that side of the brain. The right side of your brain is more connectedness and more creativity and
Right.
imagination and a lot of those other kind of activities that aren't really valued as much in society these days, which is actually what I was just writing about today. However, immediately after she had her stroke on the left side of her brain and she had lost all faculty for time, for numbers, for language, like she could talk, she had consciousness and she could remember everything and she could hear what she wanted to say, but she couldn't do it. And she was laying in the hospital and she said, I could feel the energy of certain nurses and doctors that would come into the room, just their energy. I couldn't understand what they were saying. I didn't know what they were asking me. I couldn't communicate with them, but I could
Mhm.
feel their energy. Like, and she was like, there were certain people that were just negative. Like, I didn't want
Mhm.
them around me. And she was like,
Mhm.
I could feel it. And I was like, I don't want that in my life. Like, we are drawn to positive energy. We like, there's a part
Yes.
of our
Yes.
physiology that is like, when there's a positive aura and energy and things like that are coming at you and the things that you're hearing and then how their body language is and the words that are coming out of their mouth and do they believe in you, do they not, this is tying together a lot of the different lessons that we've talked about over this journey, to say like those are the people that you want to be around and those are the people that ultimately evolve evolutionarily, have more kids, and then they teach their kids that and then they teach their kids that. So therefore Homo Puppy, like I don't know how you can dispute the logic of this in general, because like we do gravitate toward people that are just a positive energy source. Nobody wants shit darkness in their life all day long, like the energy vampires. I mean, like nobody wants that. And it turns us into a shit human being too. Like when we're forced to be in a shit environment that we don't know, we don't have maybe the training or the conversations you and I have had or stuff that we understand, and you just somehow naturally get sucked into that negative vortex. It sucks. You will get sucked into this negative vortex. It's happened to me in my life. It's happened to me when I was at Angie's List, and I went from this amazing job and great positive aura. All of a sudden, like the whole company, you could feel this dark cloud just hanging over our head every single day. And we all hated our fucking jobs, and we all went to work negative and shitty, and we didn't help each other anymore. And it wasn't one for all and all for one. And slowly but surely, the company fell apart. And it's like you could just feel the negative energy every single day, and it made me feel bad. It gave me panic attacks, gave me anxiety, and it gave me like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around these people. I don't want to be in this environment anymore. And like that, there's just something natural about us wanting to gravitate toward positive, happy people, like nice people. Right?
Nice guys do finish first, because we are the one that survive, and the bad guys are not the majority. The world is, I agree, they get nicer and nicer.
Agreed.
With the book you mentioned, The Stroke of Genius, right? Because the lady was able to speak, she had to use other faculties, and the other faculty was go back and say, because without the noise, without the sound, she's able to listen more carefully and focus on the energy itself. So this is something that I think we, as a normal person, can be able to feel the energy and detect them. We just don't pay attention as much as we should, like the lady did, because the lady had to, because she couldn't find a way to communicate with other people, so she had to enhance this other faculty, which is feeling people's energy. And similarly, I have a theory as well in terms of dogs, right? Dogs can feel people's energy too, and they are more they are pronounced, because a dog can tell if a person is friendly or not, right? And our dogs can. If you are friendly, they'll come to you. If you're not friendly, they won't come to you, and they kind of like shy away from you. And they can do that, like almost all dogs can do that.
Right. I agree. I mean, 100%. I mean, there's not a doubt in my mind. My dog, like, I know my dog knows what I'm saying. Like, I know it. Like, I mean, I know it in the deepest down into my core being. She may not be able to communicate with me, like the way that we're communicating with each other, but I know she knows what I'm feeling. And I took this photo of Felicia the day that Amelia was born, at 22 weeks old, right? And she was laying in bed, and she wasn't feeling great. And our dog jumped up on there, and she was laying next to her. This photo just pains me every time that I see it, because I know my dog knew that something was wrong. She wanted to be around her. She was like all over, way more than normal. She was always all over Felicia, but like whenever she could, I don't know, she could feel it. She could feel it around.
Dogs can feel the energy, and they are very pronounced. That for us, because we have other faculty, so the detection mechanism isn't as pronounced as like the speech or physical stuff, or the hand gesture, the visual, and all that. Dogs, because they couldn't communicate, so they use more of this energy detection faculty. So they do know if you have bad intentions. They do.
100%.
They feel them. So it's just like exactly like the lady, because he couldn't communicate, so she's enhancing her faculty that she never noticed before. Now she does. And I think we have that ability too. We just have to make sure that we tune out a lot of these noises to be able to kind of like train that faculty, the muscle, quote unquote,
that's her stroke of insight.
Muscle. Yeah,
that was her stroke of insight.
Oh, really?
Was peace is really only a thought away. So that was literally what I was just writing about this morning. Is society is so dominated by left brain thinking. We want rationality, we want linearity, we want math, science, we want numbers, we want consistency and order and language and time. Like those are the things that we value in society, and it's really all left brain thinking in general. So when she lost all of that, her brain obviously tilted the scales all the way to the other end of the extreme to figure out a way to still navigate life and live life in this world. And that was her big stroke of insight, was like, I can tap into this anytime that I want to. As she recovered, she remembered what that felt like. And she liked that feeling, and she enjoyed that feeling. She called it basically nirvana, like what Buddhists teach. She was like, look, I mean, she said she felt like a fluid when she's thinking with her left brain thinking, and as a right brain thinking, she's like, I feel fluid. I feel in peace in the moment. I feel connected. I feel creative. I feel one with the universe. I feel just in this moment, right? But the other stuff, she was more like time and future and present and past and numbers and logic and communication. And like, that's all the shit that we talk about. This is the book that we were talking about yesterday, of Procrastinate on Purpose. Why I was so, God, I don't want to read this thing anymore, because like it's so left brain thinking only dominant. It's about productivity and time management and, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, God, like, I don't want to go that far to the extreme on that side of it. We do that all day long. Like, what I really value is that balance of the equation of doing exactly like what you said, because you can tap into that. She learned as the pendulum swung that way, she could always go back to that whenever she wants to. And that was her stroke of insight, was like, it's peace is only a thought away, at all times. Like, no matter what, I can always go back to that if I want to, and feel that connectedness and that oneness with the universe, and all that good stuff, and feel that energy and tap into things that are here and now, like the stuff that you're talking about, the dogs probably feel all day long. I wish they could talk to us, because I guarantee my dog would say that to me. He'd be like, duh, dumbass, like, what do you think we've been doing all along? Like, and I'm going to be like, oh, shit.
Right.
I know she would say that. I just know it. I think that's one of the reasons why we love dogs, because we just know that they feel their way through the world.
They exude positive energy.
Right.
And to me, dog has that ability to exude positive energy, but also detect energy from other people as well. So if the energy are not positive, they know, and they will shy away from that person. Sometimes even growl at that person. But if a dog, like, if a person is good, you see dogs gonna come to them. Just like, how, I mean, this is like a little bit more far-fetched, but the concept of Snow White, right? All the birds go to Snow White and all that, because she has a pure heart. So I think people, like humanity in general, knew this concept. They just, I get this a lost art that people don't think anymore, just because of all the crazy noise from the media and social platforms and all these things that we're always kind of competing for our attention, that they yell louder and louder and louder, and all these subtle voices gets drowned under this loud.
Actually, I think that they're just at peace, and you're just like dogs don't need to bark at people and tell them to like calm down, because they're just calm. Like,
but I'm talking about us, right? I'm talking about
I know.
people,
I'm saying that we could do the same thing that a dog does. We just choose not to, is the point.
We don't actually have the conscious, because the thing is, this is why this book is important, because this is something that we have the power to tap into. We just don't recognize it.
Right.
We don't recognize it until this book calls out, because I was looking at this book today on Audible, right? There's a lot of people, they read the book, but they have no idea why this book was important. Isn't it because the book was really good in terms of narrations or anything like that? I mean, it's good, but not like, hey, like Matthew McConaughey good, right? But the thing is that entertaining. People are looking for that kind of element in a book. We are looking for the evidence. What is this book trying to teach you, right? And this is why we like this book, because of the substance of the content, versus, hey, this is entertaining, have an active voice, a midnight DJ voice from some famous actor who is good looking and whatever, right? So for me, it's like a lot of people are missing the point, and people are saying he's missing the point, this and that, and it's like, okay, well, did you understand what he's trying to do? Right. Versus trying to argue with him about, okay, you're wrong because I can tell of an event or some kind of evidence that is contrary to what you're saying. That's not what everything can flow the same way. There's always going to be exception, but we're talking about the generality of the concept. Majority of the human race, the humankind, right? It's decent and kind. Yes, there is this small percentage that has some kind of misconceptions or some kind of genetic mutations that make them wacko, right? And so, yeah, sure, there are some of that, but that is the minority. I mean, even if a very, very small minority, to say the least.
I totally agree. I think it's funny, we were talking about, before we even jumped on to the recording for the day, we were talking about what's negative always gets our attention. And I think it's because of exactly what we're talking about, because we are at our core good. And when we see something negative going on, we're like, whoa, let's go watch that. Because it's like, that's like against our nature.
It's a gene for us to be watchful and pay attention to, so that we don't fall into that trap. Because it's a survival gene, right? If you look at 1,000 snakes, right? And then one snake that you didn't look at, that's a real one, and it bites you and you die, right? So even for 1,000 good, there's one bad, it's going to get your attention, get your focus.
Of course.
So there's a million good people, and there's like a few bad apples. Then the news is gonna say, hey, people are getting killed and people are evil. The society is gonna go to the gutter, and humans become extinct, right? It's the same, and we embellish this bad news
It gets our
That's an
attention.
act.
You make money off of getting people's attention. And this is why the Packing app would work. I swear to you. Like, it'll get people's attention. I guarantee it. You know what actually will get people's attention is the idea of giving away $80,000 of annual salary with no strings attached. People will be like, something's wrong here. I want that, but there's some catch here. Because if something's free, you're going to always pay for it, right? You know, I don't actually think that's true. I just think that there's a lot of shitty people out there that always try to bait and switch people. Like, you know, like there could be actually good, really positive things that people just do out there. It's the one time that some snake oil salesman does some stupid shit that we all go, oh, see, I told you, it's never free.
Give stuff out for free all the time.
All the time. Oh, I mean, Darren Hart, you know, I just listened to Darren Daly this morning when he was talking about this exact topic. And I was like, it's hilarious because your service is free. I'm like, I've never paid you a single dime, and I leveraged your mentorship for 7 years, like, you know, every day. And I've never paid you a single dime. So to say that, like, you know, nothing's ever free. Yeah, there is free shit. Like, you know, yes, I understand. Yeah, right. There's a ton of free shit. Like, I mean, that's a sidebar, but to your point though, like what negativity always gets our attention first, right? Like, I mean, and that's what gets our attention is what we think is reality. But in reality, almost everybody's good, you know?
Yeah.
So we're Homo Puppy.
And we are Homo Puppy, and nice guy finished first. So you don't jump on the hype of, you know, nice guy finished last and be bad boy, right? That's only in the movies.
And their movies are a movie for a reason because it's not real. You know, like if movies were real, like, you know, we wouldn't even want to watch them anyway because it'd be like, well, I've seen this every day.
I think if movie were real, like I always would have like 100 kids, 1,000 kids.
Right.
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 So the thing is, somebody did not pay that person a decent wage and kind of like screw him over. Then he goes and screws somebody else. Or the boss who screwed him over was screwed by someone else. So basically, the debt is passed on from one person to the next.
Right.
It's paying it forward kind of deal, right? You can pay forward positively or pay forward negatively.
Agreed.
You think about it, because why would you go and you do something like that to a person? It's because somebody else screwed you over.
For sure. Right.
Right.
It's a downward spiral versus an upward spiral, you know.
I truly believe the root cause of that, like the beginning of the chain reaction, is because of some kind of misunderstanding, miscommunication. And then because of that, say, well, you screw me over, I'm going to screw the next person. And the other person say, well, I screw him, and now he's going to screw someone else. And
then you get a philosopher that comes in and says, see, I told you this is how humanity is, everybody.
Humanity is evil, right?
And then we all hate philosophers, like we ended up talking about, because they paint this broad stroke of like, well, you know, I'm right, and I know, and I understand all of how the dynamics of this shit works, you know, and they don't. So anyway, they don't know anything, and neither do we. We're just guessing on all this stuff. But all right, I feel like we've officially, you know, beaten that horse to death today, as we do always. But yeah, that was a fun conversation. Any final thoughts?
Nice guy.
I agree 1,000%. I mean, I don't know that there's any doubt in my mind anymore that
like guys finish first.
Agreed. So a question we can leave with you all is, what do you think? Did nice guys finish first or last? Hopefully after this conversation, you're on our camp, but you know, if you're not, let us know, and we'd be happy to discuss it. So, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you all for part 3.
Sounds good. See you soon.